Okay, welcome everybody. I'm coming to you live from Pew Hall, second floor in my office. So I'm really excited to share this time with you in talking about the Washington Internship Program specifically for summer 2024. I just want to welcome you also on behalf of the UF Bob Graham Center. We are a academic unit on campus. Uh, we are the home of the International Studies major, the Public Service minor. We have a host of student groups, public programs, all done at kind of in the theme of public service and civil discourse. We are a nonpartisan academic unit on campus. And we're also joined by Miss Shelby Beck from the UF Office of Federal Relations, live from Washington, D.C. So please, Shelby, would you start us off by just introducing yourself? And then I'll introduce myself, and then we'll kick it over to some of the other students that are helping us put on this info session for summer 2024 Washington Internship Program. And if everyone could go ahead and maybe mute your screen if you are not talking, that will be very helpful. Thanks. If you'll go ahead and mute your screen. Okay, go ahead, Shelby.
Yeah, hey everyone. So my name is Shelby Beck. I am the Federal Relations Associate here at the University of Florida Office of Federal Relations. So in partnership with the Bob Graham Center, we co-sponsored this internship program. And so the University of Florida Office of Federal Relations is our DC office. So I am in Washington, DC. So Dr. Bird kind of handles the Gainesville stuff. I handle the DC stuff of this program. And I'm actually, we are the government relations branch of the university. So we advocate for research projects, increased awareness of the university and all the great things it does. We work a lot with Capitol Hill, with agencies, that kind of a thing. And we also help faculty get their initiatives and their projects in front of the right people in the government. So just a little bit of background on me. I am actually a former WIP intern myself. So Elena Dean, who's also on this call, who's a former WIP intern, and I were both in the same cohort this past summer. I worked in the UF Office of Federal Relations. I was their intern for the semester. So for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure Dr. Bird will expand on this further, we placed one student in our office and then other students in other government entities, primarily Capitol Hill. But yeah, so I was a former WIP intern. I worked in this office last summer. And they liked me so much they offered me a job. So another great point there is that this internship program has turned into a permanent job position for several students, including myself. But yeah, so that's just some background on me. Yeah.
Thank you, Shelby. And so my name is Kevin Bird. I'm a lecturer. Maybe some of you are in my history class this semester. I have a very large one. And then also I'm the experiential learning coordinator working with city, state, and federal internship programs. I am your point of contact here. I help to coordinate your academic credit. I help to guide you through the process from here in Gainesville as far as maybe the Canvas portion of our class, checking in, seeing how you're doing, getting you ready. So welcome again. I would love to turn it over now to a few of our students who are on the call. Whether it be Dylan or Javier, Elena, would you go ahead and introduce yourselves, please?
Right.
Absolutely. I'd love to start. So I'm Dylan Pace. I'm Dr. Bird's student assistant, and I help him with the administration and recruitment for all of our internship programs. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that y'all have.
Great. And Javier?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Javier. I'm a senior at the University of Florida, and I actually just recently interned through WIP in Congressman Aaron Bean's office this fall. So excited to see so many of you guys interested in interning in DC.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks. And I think we might have Elena introduce herself a bit later. So again, this is an info session for summer 2024, the Washington Internship Program. This is one of the UF Bob Graham Center and UF Federal Relations Office's premier funded internship programs. And if you will, everyone on the call, if you can go ahead and just mute yourself, that will be very helpful in our communique. And this is a premier internship program. It is something that we put a lot of time and effort into because it is a compelling opportunity for students. It's also a compelling opportunity for the University of Florida to foreground our best and brightest work, which is you. You are our best work. Well, on our agenda today, we're going to go over the program. We're going to talk about such details as course credit, scholarship information, housing information. One of the features of this program, in addition to having a UF office on the ground there in DC, having Miss Shelby Beck in that office there as a support, a contact. Another distinguishing factor of this internship is that we provide housing for you. So we handle the biggest item of guesswork in finding an internship in a place like DC. We're also going to talk about expectations for this summer. We're going to hear from former WIP students, and we've got two now, and maybe be joined by a third. We're going to talk a little bit about what you can expect, placements and office protocols, and we're going to make sure and have some time set aside for Q&A. I would just like to say that if you're interested in the summer 2024 Washington internship program, or even a different type of internship, what we're talking about now can be quite useful for you for this internship, for this semester, but also for future semesters, let's say like fall, or even considering doing something like this outside of this internship. And so really take some notes, be willing to ask some questions because the information we will go over will be quite useful. Again, this is a partnership between the UF Bob Graham Center and the UF Office of Federal Relations. In that, we're not just sending you off, or you're not just kind of going off to DC to be a free agent to kind of work just with, just kind of on your own as a lone wolf, as it were. You are partnering with us to be placed in a congressional office and really kind of keep in their purview why it's worth investing in robustly funded, prestigious, highly ranked public education. As I mentioned earlier, you are our best example of work. And so by partnering with us, by us supporting you, by us helping to fund your internship, you really are an ambassador, a liaison for the University of Florida. You're a compelling example of our best work. We offer this internship every fall, spring, and summer. Of course, right now we're talking about summer. Does anybody maybe have an idea, or Javier, Shelby, if you want to chime in on this? Why would maybe most people are thinking about internships in the summer? I would imagine most people are thinking about internships in the summer because it fits into when you were thinking about taking classes, and you weren't necessarily thinking about taking classes in the summer. So why not maybe consider an internship? That's a great time. But why would someone ever consider an internship for the fall? Any thoughts on that, Miss Beck?
Yeah, well, generally fall and spring internships in DC tend to be less competitive than summer internships. So if you want to give yourself a leg up, applying for fall or spring is a lot less competitive of an option, even though it may be a little bit less convenient with class schedules.
Yeah.
Also, there's less of an intern population in DC in the fall or spring. Summer, it's like intern palooza. So you kind of get more notice, more attention. And you get to work on really substantive policy issues, and you get to stay longer than you do in the summer. You
5
get to
extra
stay,
weeks.
yeah. So you get to work on really substantive policy issues, and you get to stay for a longer time in fall or spring.
Javier, you've done internships at the state level and the federal level. You're an intern veteran. and you're really preparing yourself for the next step, which is employment and law school and so forth. Any idea, just maybe a sentence or two, why would someone maybe consider an internship in a fall or spring when really they're like, oh, I've only thought about it in the summer? Any thoughts?
I do have one thought, and I'm actually going to borrow a phrase that Dr. Bird likes to use often, and that's when you're an intern, you want to create a good record of work, right? And so if you're looking at future employment, one of the best things you can do to make sure you have a good record of work is to do good work. And when you're in the spring and in the fall, because there are less interns there in most congressional offices, that means that your offices are going to be depending on you a lot more. That doesn't mean, the pressure's on, but it does mean that you get more face time with staff members. You get assignments that most interns really wouldn't have the opportunity to do. And so it's truly an incredible experience interning in the fall. That's when I interned. And so I would recommend if you have the ability to maybe look into interning in the fall or in the spring as well.
Okay, and absolutely, we understand this is an info session about the summer, but I just wanted to mention that out there, sometimes our matching is such that we can place a person this semester or maybe the next semester easily just because of everything aligning, the offices being open that we're placing them in, and so forth. I can often work with students if you are open to a fall or spring and figure out a way with your advisor that it won't be a problem for your degree completion and kind of your graduation plan. Again, we offer internships every spring, summer, and fall. This internship is something that we will, of course, receive applications for, interview for. We will work with students to help prepare you. So we actually go through rounds of helping you prepare to interview, helping you work on your resume potentially if you need such. So you've got a set of a committee's eyes that are looking at your information, looking at your resume, helping you think about interviewing. So the professional development gain from this experience, it's quite compelling. I can really see a difference from when students, before they do the internship and after, and categorically, the students that do this internship are more employable and have helped some of their career aspirations out by doing the internship. I see that Elena has chimed in. We'll have a time. Great to have you join us, Elena, one of our other former Washington interns, and we'll have a time where you to introduce yourself very soon. This internship also includes academic course credit. That's a really great part. We can assign you credit through the Bob Graham Center since we're an academic unit. And I'll talk more about that in just a moment. Again, the professional development component of this internship is really dynamic. I can, when I receive emails from students after an internship serving in a congressional office, the level of professionalism, or when I have experiences or contact with them after, it just goes up several notches. And the significance of that is you're able to kind of get that professional development growth right at the key stage before you're starting to interview for your first career jobs. So we want to have these types of experiences so that you use them and then you get a job offer or a better job offer or a job offer in the town that you're really looking to work for. Again, we really want students that are going to make the most of this opportunity. We're all in funding a student anywhere from around maybe $5,000, oftentimes maybe up to $6,000, $7,000. So we're raising money. UF Federal Relations is securing money to put thousands and thousands of dollars of funding behind you, housing, other things. And so we're really wanting students that are not just going to, kind of get up to DC and kind of maybe coast. We're wanting students that are going to network, that are going to make the most of it. You're going to also work on a policy and communication project as a part of this internship and make a very professional presentation at the very end of it that we call Gator Bites. And this is going to help you practice how you pitch ideas to executive level people where you really have to condense your messaging down to like an elevator speech of length. Again, this internship is a 40-hour-a-week internship. These congressional offices know that we are helping them find students that are ready to work and embrace a fast-paced, demanding schedule in Washington, D.C. Anything less would be a disservice to you in those offices. We can extend credit for you. You don't have to take credit for the internship. You can do 0 credits for the internship, but you can go up to 9 credits for the internship and take one other class if, let's say, there's some type of bright futures or other funding interest that you have in having those 9 credits of IDS internship. If you would like to take credits through your own home department, let's say like political science, do I potentially have in the chat feature, do I have any PS political science, poli-sci students? Yep. Okay. Some hand raises. I got you. Great. So political science appreciates for you to either do 3 credits through them, or you can do the 0 to 9 through us. They prefer for you not to do both. So you can do 0 to 9 credits through us, or 3 credits through the political science department, which will help you meet some of your upper division degree requirements. So there you go. This internship also includes a cost of living scholarship. So we cover housing, and I'll show you an example of the housing soon. And housing is in a kind of roommate style housing, very close. So, you know, within a 10 to 15 minute Capitol Hill commute using the metro. But we also provide a cost of living scholarship if, depending on whether your congressional office pays a monthly stipend. So a number of the congressional offices pay a monthly stipend. And so in those cases, we would adjust down or per se not provide a cost of living scholarship and use those funds for the other offices which do not provide a cost of living scholarship. Now, in the end, the difference in us providing a cost of living scholarship and whether a certain congressional office provides a stipend, in the end, could potentially be the difference of some thousands of dollars, a few $1,000s. But really, I want you to know that you're getting a lot more than just a few $1,000s out of this. You're using this to launch your career. And so we want you, you know, you want to, of course, pay attention to your funds, and you want to make sure that you have the funds. But in the end, we're really wanting people to embrace that particular office, that set of policy interests, that great fit, even if the office has a stipend or don't. So we can provide those cost of living scholarships. Shelby, do you want to speak to that as well?
Yes. If I could just jump in super quick, I just want to make it super clear. So in the summer, it's a $1,500 cost of living scholarship based upon those things that Dr. Bird say, based upon whether or not your office pays. That a $1,500 cost of living scholarship will not cover all of your expenses in DC. So that's a point that we want to underline. So this internship is funded. It's not fully funded. So the cost of living scholarship will not cover all of your expenses in DC. Just as an awareness factor. So people are aware of how much what financial kind of situation this program is.
Javier, did I see that you wanted to add to that, or you're okay with me moving forward?
All good with you moving forward.
Okay, great. I would just say too, please do remember, if you are an out-of-state student and you have higher tuition and you want to take those credits, that's something to keep in mind. If you are an international student and you're not eligible for Bright Futures or Pell eligibility, that's something to keep in mind. You want to keep in mind, what's the cost of this? We've tried to make it as accessible as possible, but you're going to incur some costs in this internship, just like you would in any other. Think about this like a compelling study abroad, but domestic experience, where you're also really substantially increasing your employability, your networks, and so forth. There's going to be cost, but we do our best in covering housing, and then also in providing a cost of living scholarship to help you mitigate that. But that is still something that there will be. Again, one of the great things about this is that there's professional development support, and that comes in a couple of ways. One of the biggest way is through the UF Office of Federal Relations being there hosting you, having the interns gather. And so when Miss Beck reaches out, we are wanting students that are going to be really proactive and coming to, the Office of Federal Relations to meet some, Florida delegation member, or to help Dr. Sass as he's going on the Hill, and kind of network in that way. So we're really excited about that. As far as housing, again, we do cover housing. We use, our housing partner is Wish Housing, and this is metro accessible housing. Students are in a quad, which 4-tour room, as you can see in the bottom right corner, or sometimes triple or double format. Our goal is to get you in more of a town home, so that all of our UF students are in the same town home type building, or are very close by. The matching of students in a room is set by Wish, but we ask that our students be kind of together with other UF students. I will say that one of the things that our students really enjoy is also their experience in DC and meeting other interns in your office from other schools, other interns even in the townhome or the townhome next door, etc., from other universities. We are looking for mature students that can be a good roommate, and that, let's say, if there's a difference in that you have with other people that you're rooming with, that you work that out collegially, positively, and in a way, this is a way to practice your communication skills, your personal skills in residence, and of course at work. So all the maintenance for these, also for Wish, are handled. Again, just some notes to remember. If you're interested in this experience, do keep in mind that, let's say summer, right now, we've got a good number of applications. We'll have potentially, if it's typical, though Ms. Beck and I are definitely adjusting our recruitment strategy to let as many people know as possible. We often have a few less applications in fall, so just keep fall and spring in mind. And if you ever want to meet and talk about how that could work through your degree plan, we can. We do encourage you to put effort into your application. Think about your application. When we ask you to list the offices that you could really see yourself working in, look those offices up, have some informed input in why you make the decisions you do. I would encourage you not to convey randomness. You say, well, I can work in any office. Okay, tell us why. Are there certain policies that interest you? Are there certain things that you want to learn? Oftentimes, working in a given office, congressional office in DC, will create opportunities in that same type of office or similar office. So we want you to be in offices that you feel good about continuing in that trajectory in. We also ask that you put some time into your resume. The Career Connection Center has a template for resume. We encourage you to use a professional template. We encourage you to move past kind of just your own approach in resume making when there are great resources like the Career Connection Center and all the sample resumes they have online. We also encourage you to, put time into your interview, do research. If there are things like a cover letter or sample of writing, make sure and put time into that. I think we might have someone that's on mic. If you could go ahead and mute yourself, we would really appreciate it. Think about, why do you want the internship, and what of your experiences are relevant? Again, we're wanting students that are going to network and make the most out of this experience. We want students that are going to prepare for their interview and, have a professional setting. I love to interview people and with all my books in the background, because, that's one of my favorite parts of life, and pictures of Florida all over and so forth. But think of a setting, a controlled setting, maybe emulate what Javier's done here. He's very professional. He's dressed as if he's about to go to work. That type of thoughtfully engaged approach is kind of what served him well, and what will serve him well as he, no doubt, he's already gotten multiple job interview options. So as he moves forward with his career. Again, we're looking for students that are not perfect or have everything figured out, but are eager to work hard to embrace any task, ready to learn. Again, One thing to think about, maybe even in a spring semester, one benefit of taking this internship, maybe your very last semester enrolled in college with a resume in hand, letting it be known that you're looking for a job, is that it is easier to get a job in DC if you're in DC. So we help the last few semesters, we've had students each semester that have landed jobs while they were there in DC. We've gone through all this professional development support. They have a resume in hand. They're letting people know, the people they meet, that they're looking and they got a job. Shelby, could you take it over from here for a bit?
Yeah, so just to kind of speak on that, what Dr. Bird's last point, that is exactly what I did. I actually pushed back my graduation by a semester in order to do this program. Walked in, resume in hand, told just about talked to just about everyone I could, and made it really clear that I was interested in finding employment in DC post-grad, and it ended up working out. So that is definitely something that last semester, one of our students that was working in a congressional office got a job there. So this is definitely something that is possible and feasible with this program to get a job post-grad in Washington, D.C. To kind of touch on what the University of Florida Federal Relations Office does as part of this program. So a big part of what we do is placement. So we're the office that works on your placement. So there are 3 things that we consider when we're placing you. Geography, so who your representative is, passion areas, and your political alignment. So like Dr. Bird said earlier, working in a certain office will open up doors for you in similar offices. So if you're really interested, so we try to line up where we place you based off of your interest areas. So like, for example, if you told me, oh, I am so interested in education and community engagement and uplifting lower income youth, I would put you in probably Frederica Wilson's office. If you told me, oh my God, I love the Freedom Caucus and I'm really interested in military, and you were from North Florida, I might put you in Matt Gates's office, you know? So we really try to place you based off those 3 things. Just to make sure that you're getting the most out of your experience, that you're getting the most professional development, that you are learning about those interest areas that you are passionate about, and that you are not sacrificing your personal morals or ideals in order to do this. So that is placement process. Varies honestly by office. So after we kind of work with you to figure out which office you're going to be placed in, I will reach out to intern coordinators and kind of start that process along. And then from there, it really varies. And I will work with you hand in hand as we kind of get you placed into various congressional offices. Another big thing that our office does is professional development. Dr. Bird touched on this briefly, but what we do is about once a month, we have a UF alum come into the office based in DC, and they'll come and they'll speak to just however many of you it is, 6 to 8, however many we accept this semester. So what's great about that is it's a very small setting. So a lot of intern events, they'll have great speakers, but it'll be like 100 interns in a room. This is, just our WIP cohort. So, a dozen so or less students able to talk one-on-one with this UF alum and kind of learn from their experiences, learn what kind of advice they have, that kind of a thing. So that's professional development we do. And we also just work very closely, and Dr. Bird helps out with this on interviewing, on your resume, on how to properly act in an office. I mean, you're basically working a full-time job. Like, you are transitioning into the workforce for this semester. You're working 9 to 5, sometimes 8 to 6, maybe if Congress is in session and it's crazy, 5 days a week. So you are essentially working a full-time job. So this is great professional experience, but it is a learning curve. Like, you are figuring out how to function in an office. You are figuring out, how to dress professionally for the workplace. So this is great practice for post-grad life. And it's great because we are kind of here to help you help you kind of lead the way and help you kind of forge that path in DC. Does that cover everything, Dr. Bird? Anything I missed?
This is great. Yeah, thank you so much. Again, this is so valuable. I just am so excited for y'all to hear this information, to think about it. Let's turn it over now to Elena. Elena, will you introduce yourself? And Elena, I remember when we interviewed you for this, you didn't say, "Hey, I want to go into politics." And so, Elena, could you also just maybe speak to something, your maybe your major, what some of your career interests are, but also maybe could you speak to how this is a good option, maybe for people who are just wanting to think about public service, learn about the legislative process, and think about their career a bit more broadly. Am I correct, Elena? Are you on, and would that be okay for you to go ahead and speak to?
Yes, of course, of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Elena Dean. I was a part of the WIP cohort this past summer with Shelby. Um, we lived in the same townhouse together, so that was super fun. Definitely hope you guys get that same experience again in that townhouse. It was once in a lifetime for sure. But yeah, just to tell you a little bit about my background and sort of my future plans and what I hope to do. I'm a fourth year microbiology major, and I'm in the CALS College, and I have a minor in international studies. So I am super interested in health policy. I went in to my interview and I told them that. I told them, like Dr. Bird said, I wasn't really planning to go into politics, but I wanted some policy experience on the Hill, and experience what a policy job would be like in DC. And going into the future, I hope to do health policy probably on the global scale, but I wanted some background in US health policy and just seeing how it all functioned in DC. To this day, I say it's, one of the best professional experiences I ever had. DC itself is just so amazing. There's so many connections that you can make. My thing was to try to do a coffee chat every week. Started by reaching out to Gator alums, and normally they're all so nice and they will literally meet you for coffee, sometimes a lunch, and they'll pay for your lunch. So definitely do that if you're in DC. But I talk to people all over the spectrum, from healthcare consulting to working at different government agencies to working on the Hill as like health policy staffer. You literally have access to so many amazing different people who are doing so many different things with their life, and they all took different paths to get there, I guarantee you. So you will learn about so many different ways you can go. I'm hoping to do post grad, still trying to figure it out, but probably going to go into the Peace Corps, so still public service. And we're still waiting on finalizing details for that, but I've always been a big proponent of public service, and this internship just really solidified that for me. And even though I knew by the end of it, I probably wasn't going to, be the next state senator or representative, I got so much out of it and really recommend it for anyone, whether you're a political science student or you're a STEM student like me. Definitely recommend. And I'm happy to answer any questions later in the Zoom as well.
And what Elena didn't tell you, she's also taking the lead in coordinating a very complex, compelling health policy leadership academy that we do with community members. It's a big undertaking, and she is doing a wonderful job at it. So thank you for that, Elena. Javier, would you like to maybe introduce yourself, and why is this the right time for students on the call? We've got more than 60 students on the call. Why is this a good thing for them to think about as an option?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, it's going to be really hard to go after and top Elena's speech, but I will do my best. So for those of you who didn't hear me the first time, my name is Javier. I'm a senior, and I recently interned for Congressman Aaron Bean up in Jacksonville, in Washington, D.C. this fall. And I mean, honestly, I'm going to be blunt and say it. There really is no substitute for interning in DC. Whether you want to learn more about American politics, whether you really want to understand how Congress works, or you just want to learn more about policy, DC is the perfect place to do it. And specifically with the Bob Graham Center, because you don't get the type of support that they give you with any other program. But more importantly, because DC is an interesting environment because almost everyone in DC has been in your shoes. They've been an intern. They know the game, right? So if you want someone who's going to give you real advice, professional advice, especially for the field that you want to be in, it's a perfect environment. Not only that, but because there's so much happening in DC, whether you want to learn about economic policy, health policy, fiscal policy, you can literally run into anyone in DC and they have this sort of niche specialization, right? So it is an incredible learning opportunity. It is an incredible environment for young professionals like yourselves to be in. And honestly, I can't recommend it enough. There really is no substitute. And I implore you guys to work on your applications. Don't submit it at 11:59. I'm like that. I get it, but don't do it. Craft it. Work hard on it because it's a once in a lifetime experience.
Thank you to you both. I really appreciate that. This is very helpful. Again, we just want to help to contextualize what we're looking for are students for particular offices, students that are well aligned with some of the offices. Now, what's happening over the last several semesters, students like Javier, students like Elena, students like Shelby have been performing so well that you are opening up new opportunities for more students. So we're each semester getting more and more requests for UF students. Offices tell us UF students show up before their other students. They get there earlier because we help line up housing. We can give them more responsibility. They have a wonderful attitude. These are just the types of students we want in the program. So I just encourage you to think about this as if, what are the offices that you could really see yourself functioning in and why? Really put some thought into that. Do some research. Let me just go ahead and turn it over to Miss Beck, Elena, and Javier now for any thoughts and as we transition to Q&A. Miss Beck.
Yeah. I would just love to highlight really quickly those offices on that last slide were just offices that we've placed students in the past. That is by no means a limitation. If an office that you are really interested in is not on this list, that does not mean that you should not put it down. The Florida delegation is your canvas. Yeah, the Florida delegation is your canvas. So don't feel like you have to be limited. This is just an example of some offices that we've placed in the past.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, anybody on the call, if you will, just unmute yourself and please write all of your questions in the chat. And I think Dylan and Elena are going to watch that as well. But please be willing to unmute yourself and ask, or we'll go from the chat. Elena, Javier, do y'all want to look at the chat and see if there's any that y'all would like to respond to?
I also have a question if you're taking like non-chat questions.
Sure, go ahead.
So this is kind of like more logistical. First off, thank you so much for sharing everything. You guys did a great job explaining it. I definitely have a more clear view of what the internship program is going to look like. But I also was wondering in terms of application things, I accidentally was like on the application today and I clicked the next arrow on what seemed to be the last slide. And so it accidentally submitted without my writing sample on there. So
just submit another application with any additional stuff that you need.
Okay, so if I had all of my answers already done, except I just didn't have the writing sample itself, is there any way that I could just submit the writing sample?
I would say as a general rule, try to go ahead and save your answers. That's probably a really good approach. Yeah, we would like to not have 100 different writing samples sent to us randomly. That's not the best case for us. So as a general rule, if any of the rest of you have not saved your answers, do save them and make sure so that you can put back in it and submit. Let's just you and I talk offline and we'll work out a solution.
Okay, thank you so much.
Dylan, if you will, and Elena, y'all go ahead. Feel free, anyone, feel free to kind of cue into the chat feature too. But anybody else, thank you, Alyssa. That's a great question. We'll find a good answer for that. Anybody else like to chime in and ask a question?
Yeah, hello. I appreciate everybody's input into this, and thank you for like hosting this, especially Elena's. I'm a biochemistry and political science major, so going to health policy is actually something that I really want to go into too. So I have a question on like the kinds of like work that y'all do. Like, do y'all do like works on the committees or like constituency work with the offices in regard to that? And what are your experiences with that?
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to take this one. So I noticed somebody else in the chat also asked just sort of what a day-to-day was like. So I'm happy to sort of answer both of those together. Um, Definitely, like you mentioned, there's a lot of like constituent communication. You're going to get really close with hearing from the constituents. I know in my office specifically, we had some people who would call us every day. So we had a few frequent flyers on our phones. But other than that, we did, phone calls, emails, mail. We would lead tours. For most of the offices, that's required. My office, it was sort of like, if you want to learn how to be a tour guide, you can. So it sort of depends on the office. Other than that, I would say they definitely give you assignments to do with, whatever policy things that they need done. But if you are super interested in a certain policy area, I would definitely make that clear up front. I did that with my internship coordinator, and pretty much anytime a health policy assignment came in the intern email box, it was like forwarded to me, and everybody was like, okay, she's going to head that one and we'll help her with it. But, you would be like the main person for that. So definitely would recommend like saying if you have any preferences early on. And yeah, it sort of depends on your office, like I said, what your day-to-day would be like. But a lot of constituent communication and doing all of that. Sometimes less work than other days, I'll be honest. Like some days you go in and it's just not a busy day. And sometimes you'll get off at 3 p.m. and then you get to go explore the city. And like you just have to take advantage of the good time that you get to do that and go to a museum or something. But yeah, definitely some really cool policy work as well. A lot of research. So I know you said your biochem. Do you do a lot of research? I do a lot of research, but this research is different. It's, a lot of like historical background, context, that kind of type of thing. And I found it really interesting and very different than like anything I've done for my academics. So I would definitely encourage you to apply. And I'm going to put my contact information in the chat, so feel free to reach out if you have any specific questions.
Thank you.
I see some questions related to maybe resumes and so forth. Please do start with the Career Connection Center, the template resumes that they have, working from that. Use that kind of basic education, work experience, student and community involvement, skills format. Use the formatting they already have. Even potentially, if you have time, schedule a time with them. They actually have an AI kind of resume helper with that. But once a person has submitted, then we, let's say if you're in the program and we're interviewing you, at that point, we would kind of help you. We would have the time to kind of work with you on your internships. We're not going to disqualify someone if their resume hasn't been polished. We're still going to consider, we're looking for things. We're just saying, do what you can to clean it up as best as possible. Once you're selected, then we would work with you and the resume. In the meantime, one of the resources we would encourage you to avail yourself of is the Career Connection Center. Other questions someone like to ask?
Dr. Wood, if I could jump in really quickly, I'm seeing
Yes.
a lot of questions about writing samples and what we're looking for in there. Really what we're looking for in the writing sample is to just kind of just make sure that you're able to put things in a coherent kind of storyline and start to finish kind of thing. So we're looking to make sure that you can write and that you can write well. It's not like we're looking for a specific subject matter or things like that. We're looking just to kind of see what you write like. So just shorten down a paper, like your best paper that you've written for class, shorten it down, because we're not looking for specific content things. We're looking to see how you write, if that makes sense.
Shelby, can you just speak to the fact that, should people apply directly to that congressional office or apply through us? Could you speak to that?
Um, yeah, so anyone can apply to congressional offices. They have the instructions on how to do it on their website. That being said, it is going to be a very, very competitive process. You know, a lot of people want congressional internships. It's a very competitive internship. So what we do is we help you kind of get your foot in the door in the office. We have established relationships with a lot of these offices, so we help you kind of get your foot in the door. Oftentimes we can, and we also help you professionally develop so that you're sitting foot in that interview very well. We place, on average 6 to 8 students every semester in congressional offices, so we know like how these interviews work, what they're looking for, what they're asking for. So we work with you to kind of help with your interviews, help with your resume, and we help you get your foot in the door. That being said, you are free to apply to congressional internships on your own. It'll just be a bit more competitive of a process.
I would just say one of the values of kind of applying through us, and kind of again, you're not disqualified, you're not inhibited to apply on your own. One of the value of applying with us is we're going to really help match you, and we're going to let those offices know you're fully funded, which is the biggest obstacle. You could apply yourself, necessarily not apply through us or not get selected through us just because of the matching who we have on our roster to be able to fund. So one of the big challenges is you lining up your own housing, you lining up all the stuff on your own. It's not easy. It can be done. It's not impossible by any stretch of the imagination. And so I would say one of the things that a lot of students will embrace is applying through us. Let's say if they're accepted, then we help in the connection process. We help introduce you to that office, and they really weigh our introduction and our recommendations graciously. And so, again, that doesn't stop you from applying on your own. Oftentimes, we'll have our process a bit earlier. So that's just something to keep in mind. How much would you be able to explore around the Capitol and network outside of your office? Well, you're working during the week. This is kind of a 40-hour week job. So I guess the question is, how motivated are you? Are you the kind of person that's like, hey, I'm going to do something after work and I'm going to make sure and plan out my weekends and have some really wonderful experiences? If you're motivated like that, oh, so much time. Allow me to turn it over to Elena with that. I will say that's one reason why we encourage you not to overload yourself with classes, because you don't want to be bogged down in books while you're in DC. We want you networking, exploring, doing all the fun stuff. What would you say to that, Elena?
Yeah, I was just writing back my response.
Sorry.
So no, you're good. You're good. So I would say, again, it depends on the office and the amount of interns in the office. If you're thinking about, there's plenty of like lunch and learns and that type of thing on Capitol Hill. What we did in my office was we sort of all rotated. We never left the office with no interns in it, because somebody had to be there to answer the phone. Somebody had to be there to answer the door if there was a constituent coming in. So it really depends on the flexibility of your office. I know some people in our cohort, their offices were just a lot more strict, so they just couldn't leave as much. But yeah, I mean, I had the ability. There was one time where I, asked off like a week in advance, and I got a day to go to like the Politico's healthcare summit on health policy. And that was like one of the coolest things I did. And that was simply because like I asked my intern coordinator, I was like, hey, I'm super interested in this. I totally understand, like, if I can't take the full day off, maybe I can do a half day or something. And he was literally like, no, go, like, that is your thing, bro, go do it. So it really depends on your office, I would say. But I feel like if you make the effort to be communicative and, do it far enough in advance, and you sort of have something in place to like make sure the responsibilities are still figured out, normally it's pretty easy to figure out those times to network and everything.
Allow me just to mention, we are getting more requests for students from these offices. So this semester we've sent more than we had sent before. This has happened a number of semesters. So we're envisioning, we're thinking what's sustainable, because if you remember, I mentioned to you that we're we're kind of all in, many thousands of dollars per se for a particular student. Our thought is that this summer we're going to take a bit smaller cohort, maybe, I'm not sure. I can't really say what we'll take. It might be that we're taking 4, it might take 5 or something like that. But then fall and spring, we're going to have, again, because it's 5 weeks longer in fall and spring. Our hope is that we're going to be being able to fund a bit larger cohorts in the fall and spring, bigger than summer. If what has happened in the past continues. Any other questions? Anybody like to chime in and ask a question? Well, this is very exciting. I just want to again say to you, we are, our very best regards to you from the UF Bob Graham Center, from the UF Office of Federal Relations, from, Pew Hall, second floor, but also Washington, D.C., and all places in between, all exciting places in between. Thank you, Shelby, for setting aside your busy work time to talk to all these students. Thanks, Elena. Thanks, Javier. Thanks, Dylan, for helping us to put this on. We want to tell you that we're so excited about your checking into this internship. The Bob Graham Center was founded by friends and coworkers and our former governor, Bob Graham, with the idea of really helping students engaged in nonpartisan public service and to learn by doing. Governor Graham loved the idea of students having a chance to really learn by doing. And so whether it be this internship or some other internship, you don't have to be perfect, but we love if you could just be willing and eager and open to feedback and to work hard and to show up with a great attitude. And that will be wonderful. Again, my very best to you all, and have a great day. Bye now.
Thank you.